Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending our formally informal lunch and learn about the opportunities at the Port of Duluth Superior. I'm glad you're all here today. I'm very excited for this project. Having been in my past life a user of the port services in Duluth Superior, importing 40-foot container traffic from Asia Pacific areas into Rice Lake, Wisconsin. It's just a wonderful thing. So, want to say thank you to all of you who've joined our call today. So, Cody, if you want to advance the slide, I want to give a short presentation about or introduction, I'm sorry, of our speakers today, and then a little introduction about the Small Business Development Center, kind of a why we're here today, and then we'll hear from our panelists, of course, and we'll have some Q&A. So first up, after I'm done with my introduction, we'll be speaking with Kate Ferguson, Director of Trade and Business Development at the Duluth Seaway Port Authority. She's going to give us a little history of the port. Go ahead, Cody. Next slide, please. And then Jonathan Lamb is the president of the Lake Superior Warehousing, and he runs the intermodal facility where your containers would arrive by rail and by vessel at the moment. He also has a warehousing facility there, on-site U.S. Customs, which is a really cool feature of the Port of Duluth Superior, and I think certainly a value add. Next slide, please. Jim Jones is general manager of Jeff Foster Trucking. He's going to tell us a little bit later on about the future of the port and kind of the how to use things, ins and outs of the port, and tell us about some of the current things that are going on, and of course some of the future expansion. Next. Trey Grismore is Vice President and co-founder of Conveyco, and along with Jim is going to kind of talk a little bit about some of the current projects. Next. And Dave Wierzba. Dave is a partner of ours at the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and Dave's going to tell us a little bit about how the WEDC supports the economic development in in the Northwest Wisconsin region, as well as how the WEDC can also assist Wisconsin businesses. All right, next. And Andy Donahue. Andy is the director of the SBDC in Superior, and he's going to give us a couple of words about how you can engage the SBDC locally. All right. So a little bit about us. The SBDC is a network of centers throughout the every state in the union has an SBDC office. Wisconsin has 13 of them spread out across the state to help out our small and mid-sized businesses. They are at the many of them are based at the UW four-year institutions. Go ahead, Cody. Next. So we're housed at the University of Wisconsin, the Institute for Business and Entrepreneurship. That's a big, long title, but we have a couple of sister organizations that fall under under the institute. So the SBDC, of course, the Center for Commercial Technology and Commercialization, the Food Finance Institute, and the Center for Business Intelligence. Go ahead, Cody. So we help you at any stage. So we can help you with financing, growing your existing business, launching your business, determining if your idea is even feasible. We meet you where you are at. Go ahead, Cody. And then what we help with, a lot of different things: consulting, education, whether it's online or in person. These could be capital access. We have a really cool new program through our Eau Claire office. Many of you might know Lou Kempen and his group down there, but capital access team. We've got a digital marketing program that we do out at UW Oshkosh, and these are available to anybody statewide. It's just you've got a lot of real talented folks out there keeping very busy. Okay, Cody, next. So I wanted to start off real quick about the Port of Duluth Superior, and why I'm really excited about this. Um, this is Los Angeles at 7 o'clock this morning. And all those little green dots represent ships that are parked, many of them waiting to be unloaded. And you've been hearing about this for the last 2 years. Some of you have suffered through this for the last 2 years. Go ahead, next. This is Prince Rupert, British Columbia. But when you have ships from the Asia Pacific region going into Duluth Superior, they unload right there at Prince Rupert and are put on the Canadian National Railway for a direct call into Superior. They don't stop in Chicago first. They don't stop in Minneapolis first. They stop right at Duluth. U.S. Customs is on site in case there's any issues. It's a really, as you can see, the congestion just isn't there. The next slide, go ahead, Cody, is Montreal. And as you can see there, there's not a lot of backup at Montreal as of this morning. So one of the new products that we're going to talk about today is the container or the availability of 40-foot containers to arrive in Montreal and then be put on smaller feeder vessels, if you will, to call right into the Port of Duluth Superior. The advantage is, well, in my estimation, the advantage is reduced stress, reduced transit times to a degree, and overall perhaps even reduced costs. For those of you that are suffering through these events. We have on the call with us today Tom Heinzen at Air Group and Trey Grismore at Conveyco. And later on, they might be able to help answer some of the questions about how freight forwarders out there are utilizing this new service. The Port of Duluth this year has been I don't want to use the word awarded. It wasn't awarded, but it was given, the blessings, if you will, by customs and other agencies to start handling 40-foot ocean containers. The only other one on the Great Lakes is Cleveland. Go ahead, next screen. So, oh, that's the end of my talk. Yay, you don't have to listen to me anymore. That's why I brought on, the stakeholders here to really tell you about the exciting things that are going on. I gush, I bubble over, but this project has really meant a lot to me, and I can, the future of it is just really incredible. So I'll yield my time, and Kate, tell us about the history of the port.
Yeah, sure. Just get my screen up here. Okay, everybody see, everybody see my screen? Yes. Okay, so thanks for having me. I'm Kate Ferguson. I'm the Director of Trade and Business Development at the Duluth Seaway Port Authority. I'm really going to try to take a step back even from what Chris was talking about and first give you an overview of what the Port of Duluth Superior looks like, what our history is. It's obviously we're not new to handling freight and cargo, but we have some new service offerings. So I want to start first with kind of an overview of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system And then we'll get more into what the Duluth Seaway Port Authority does, what the Port of Duluth Superior looks like, and then we'll get into Duluth Cargo Connect, which is where I will pass the torch to Jonathan Lamb. So let's get rolling there. Again, thanks for having me. Good morning, everybody. So the Port of Duluth Superior is the western terminus of this Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system. So this system is truly a binational waterway. It means that US and Canada really have to work together in our federal governments in order to make sure the system functions properly. You can see here there are many locks that connect the Port of Duluth Superior and the Atlantic Ocean. So a ship that goes from Duluth to the Atlantic, which is obviously geographically our most prudent trading partners through the water. And but there's 16 locks that they have to go through between the Port of Duluth Superior and the Atlantic Ocean. So Chris was talking about Montreal. From Duluth to Montreal, we're talking about a 5-day journey by vessel. And then with our most natural trading partners, Europe, North Africa, you'd be tacking on another 9-10 days. So we're talking about a 2-week round trip by vessel from Duluth Superior to Europe and North Africa. This system is highlighted and called Highway H2O. That's how it's marketed. We are a member port of this Highway H2O brand. So oftentimes we'll represent ourselves at the Port of Duluth Superior under the umbrella of Highway H2O at many different global events. You can see here the Port of Duluth Superior is a #1 by tonnage port on this Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system, excluding Montreal. So once you're inside the system, we're #1, and typically ranks in the top 20. And this is by volume in US ports. And we handle, not quite 900 anymore, but we handle well over 800 vessel visits to our port every year. And this Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system is really important to our economy based around the system. So if you took the 8 Great Lakes states and 2 Canadian provinces around the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system and made them their own little country, it would actually be the 3rd largest GDP in the world. So this system is sitting in this heartland and this this area of the economy in North America that just means so much. So it's a great location and a great waterway to utilize. You can see the other numbers here. The ships that ply the Great Lakes, this is utilizing the largest ship on the Great Lakes, which can't actually get to the Atlantic Ocean, but you can see that waterborne movement is by far the greenest available movement for cargo and goods. 1 gallon of fuel can take a ton of cargo over 600 miles by vessel, whereas it's just 200 by locomotive and 60 by truck. So big difference there. And of course, our highways and railways are already congested. So the more we can pull traffic onto the water, the better. And our system in the Great Lakes is only 50% utilized. So our Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system can double in ship volume and not need any additional infrastructure updates. It can function as it is today by doubling traffic through the Seaway. So let's talk a little bit more about the Port of Duluth Superior. You can see a layout here. We are a natural resource dry bulk typically harbor. So like I said, by volume, #1 on the Great Lakes, and most of that's made up by the different cargoes that we handle, here on the port, which I will get to in a minute. But again, very much natural resource, dry bulk. The one really exciting thing that we just had happen here in the Port of Duluth Superior, if you can see the point that says General Mills Duluth Elevator A, which happens to be right next to some property that Jeff Foster owns and I believe Foster has been involved in this. Hanson Muller, which is a grain company, just recently bought General Mills A. General Mills A was vacant, unused for 7 years. They expect that facility to be back up and running by harvest this year. That's very exciting, as they also have a bagging plant on site. So could it potentially work into some of our future potential on the Great Lakes? potentially. But for now, it at least adds some more dry bulk, natural resource based product to our Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system. Here in the Port of Duluth Superior, we have this great transportation network here in our port and on our land side. A port is only as good as its land side opportunities for transportation. And you can see here we're connected, especially at Duluth Cargo Connect, by 4 different railways. So we actually have CN, CP, UP, and BN. Did I say BN? UP? CP. I can't remember where. Anyway, those 4 railroads that are all connected right into our port, which gives us great ability to have marketable rates, especially if you're talking about, you know, bringing in some bulk good by one railroad, stuffing it into a container and sending them back out in a different direction, or even on the CN. But we also have really great road connections. We work regularly with our DOT partners in order to make sure that the road connections are viable, usable, and configured to handle all the freight we can handle into the Port of Duluth Superior. Again, these are typical cargoes. You can see specialty cargoes there is what we would be calling our containerized cargoes. We hope someday that maybe we'll even pull that out and have it as its own cargo spot that we work in the Port of Duluth Superior for our maritime mix. But for right now, our primary cargoes are iron ore, coal, limestone, grain, and then some of these other cargoes. We are the #1 wind cargo port as well at Duluth Cargo Connect in the Great Lakes. And we touch everybody's daily lives. So I don't need to get into too many of these stories, but every picture that you see here is something that we touch the supply chain of here in the Port of Duluth Superior. And again, critically important to our economy here in the Twin Ports with 8,000 jobs. And I love that last number, the 240 million in tax revenue generated from our region, which is incredible. So a little bit about the Duluth Seaway Port Authority. Our port as a whole actually started shipping cargo back in the 1800s. So the port is quite old. But the Duluth Seaway Port Authority, unlike many other port authorities in North America or in the globe, we weren't developed until the 1950s. So most of our port is all privately held. But what's great about the Duluth Seaway Port Authority is we are a legislatively enacted port authority. And we were given some land when we were created in the 1950s in preparation for international cargo coming through the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system. And so we really were set up with this very basic mission: bring business to the port, economic development to the region, and then we advocate for maritime transportation, freight, those kinds of things. Industry is critically important to us, and we support our regional economy by offering transportation assets and building transportation assets. And that's what you're really going to see here for the message that we have to carry forward. We couldn't do all the things we do at Duluth Cargo Connect without infrastructure investments, and the Duluth Seaway Port Authority makes infrastructure investments for transportation and for our regional economy. So it really ties all parts of our mission back together. So this first piece of land here, the big chunk, is the portion of our Kluwer Public Marine Terminal. And that was the chunk of land, of course, that was only about 60% of what it is now when we were given it by the state. Since then, we have fortified dock walls. You can see all the warehousing on site. You can see there's another berth right next door to the main chunk of land. That's also part of our terminal now. And we've really invested a lot of money into these assets in order to be able to handle transportation for our regional industries. And we have this really unique relationship with our operating agent, which is Lake Superior Warehousing. So you're going to hear from Jonathan Lamb next. And he's really going to talk about all of the great things that we do at Duluth Cargo Connect. But I wanted to give you just a snippet in case we get so focused on container opportunities. I want to also tell you about what rounds out our business at Duluth Cargo Connect. We're really focused on heavy lift project cargo. This is what we do. Anything in our port that doesn't need a conveyor, that isn't that dry bulk, natural resource that might need a crane or a forklift or some sort of specialty equipment, that's what we handle at our facility at Duluth Cargo Connect. And again, infrastructure updates to be able to handle all of these things. We have a lot of warehousing. So supporting a regional industry means that sometimes they need a lucrative place to reposition their cargo in order to have a broader reach. Well, we have 4 Class 1 railroads. You can't get much of a broader reach than that. So a lot of our warehousing is utilized for our regional partners in order to be able to strategically locate their goods to get them out into the network of North America. And as Chris talked about, we opened an intermodal terminal in, I think it was 2017, and it's connected with CN. So CN is our partner on this venture, and this is a landside-based intermodal terminal. So again, like Chris was showing with the different ports that we access, we actually have 6 ports that we utilize on CN's network on the 3 coasts. So again, in Duluth, we just see truck, rail, truck, not touching the water when it comes to our CN intermodal terminal. But again, as Chris alluded to as well, we recently made an infrastructure investment, and as well as a governmental agency kind of negotiation and investment to make our customs facility that was for just our land side also be usable for a water side. So that was a significant investment. It took us, I think almost 2 years to get that up and running, but it was announced earlier this year. It is officially a go. We got buy-in from CBP as well as Coast Guard and the many other parties that may need to be included for that. So this is our opportunity on the horizon. I just was talking to John yesterday, maybe not quite, a 100% win yet, but we're getting there, and there's lots of opportunity. And there's lots of opportunity on our land-based CN intermodal as well, intermodal terminal as well. So that is the overview I really wanted to provide. I could have gotten into much more detail. So if you have any other questions about the history and the overview of the port, I am happy to answer those personally or during the panel. So at this point, I'll stop sharing and turn it over to John.
Okay, I'll just say a couple of quick comments. Really what we're going to do is show you a video that we have of our facility and what all are some of the cargoes that we handle and the capabilities that we have. I'll let the video talk first, and then I'll recap with some of the high points of our facility and then where we're at today in terms of the container traffic and container activity up here. So with that, Cody, take it away with the video. Cody, thanks for running that for me. That was a bit, I guess, to use maybe a food analogy. There was your smorgasbord of all the different things that we do here at Duluth, a variety of different cargoes, which Kate touched on, whether it's smaller package goods all the way up to bigger items, wind turbine components, oil and gas equipment, transformers, take your pick. Really, what I'd like to do is just kind of stress the facility capabilities we have. And by the way, I'm with Kate, I'm the private sector side of the public-private partnership. So Kate's with the Port Authority, as she mentioned, the public entity. I'm with Lake Superior Warehousing, which is a private entity. We're the contracted operator for the Port Authority here in Duluth of their facility. We've been their operator for over 30 years now, and together we form Duluth Cargo Connect, which is our marketing brand. That is our public-private partnership and brand that we operate with. The facility, all those different commodities and examples of what we can do here really show the flexibility that the facility has to do a variety of different things to support customers' supply chains and their needs. Some high points of the facility. Here, we have 40 acres of outside laydown space. On top of that, we're at about 430,000 square feet of warehouse space on property. That number will continue to grow. Kate referenced investments that are continually made in the facility. While we've acquired some additional warehouse space, there's also plans to add more warehousing space here coming up in the next year. That should be ready by hopefully next spring or summer, and that's going to push us into the 500,000 square foot range. Kate mentioned 4 railroads that we have here that serve our facility. We do lots of carload traffic with all 4 of them. CN is our intermodal carrier for the container traffic by rail. We have foreign trade zone designation here in addition to customs, like Chris had referenced. So U.S. Customs is here to inspect import containers. Product can also be put into foreign trade zone status here, whether that's in status for holding temporarily or potentially for re-exporting out. We see that being our most traditional use of our foreign trade zone with customers that will bring product in, stage it in the foreign trade zone, and then it'll typically re-export out to Canada. So we serve as a gateway for Canada as well on some of their import traffic. A variety of equipment ranging from small forklifts to 55,000 pound forklifts, cranes up to 300 tons, reach stackers for our container service, truck scale on site, trackmobile for doing all our own rail car switching here on site. So lots of different capabilities. We carry heat treated dunnage certification. We have a wood shop and a welding shop on site. So we do specialized and customized crating and skidding for products to be exported so they can go overseas without concerns about pest concerns. So we do a lot of that customized crating and skidding of export components out of here. And really, that brings me to my next point. Beyond all of our facility amenities, it gets us to really the container conversation. As Chris mentioned, he's worked with us in the past at our CN Intermodal Terminal. That is year-round, 12-month out of the year container service provided by CN Rail like we were any other inland ramp. And we have access to really 6 coastal ports on the CN network. We do have Prince Rupert and Vancouver in the west. We have Montreal and Halifax that we can access in the east. And then we can also go direct with New Orleans and Mobile as well in the Gulf. So, which is unique with other rails in our market that they don't have that 3 coast access today. For container traffic on the water, which is usually people always think of us as a port on the water, which we are. And when they think containers, they think of us with containers by water. That hasn't been a major growth area up until we're getting to that stage now. And to Chris's point, we received regulatory approval with U.S. Customs and the U.S. Coast Guard to be able to handle containers, whether import or export here at Duluth. Chris is correct that Duluth and Cleveland are the only U.S. ports on the Great Lakes that can handle containers. And then you obviously have Montreal over further east that has the ability on the Canadian side as well. What I would stress to everybody is the development of container by water here in Duluth is an ongoing process. While we have and we are set from a capabilities perspective to handle containers by ship and go through all the process with customs approval and inspections and meet all those regulatory steps, the piece that we're working on right now is really working with the ocean carriers on getting regular ocean service that will carry containers in and out of the Great Lakes. There's a couple of different aspects of that I would touch on. Some people may be familiar with Spleetoff. Spleetoff is a ocean carrier based in the Netherlands. They traditionally operate the smaller break bulk vessels that are in and out of the Great Lakes and really all over the world. But they really pioneered the container service that exists at Cleveland today. It's a unique niche service that runs between Cleveland and Amsterdam.
I think we might have lost John there for a second.
Yeah, that service has been in play with Antwerp now for about 6 or 7 years, maybe 8. And they've built up a nice business between Cleveland and Antwerp. Um, we are looking to really bolt onto that, and that would be a direct service. That would be Duluth directly to North Europe to access the European market. Spleetoff, as a niche player, has their own pool of containers, in addition to a willingness to take private containers. And then they have some ability to feed throughout North Europe, really North Europe, Scandinavia, the Baltic region, UK. That's kind of their service territory. But the other area we see us morphing into in time is really feeder service on the Great Lakes connecting to East Coast ports, whether that's a Montreal or a Halifax, for example, where then there's a connection with the large steamship lines, whether that's an MSC, a Maersk, an O&E, for example, Hapag-Lloyd, the ability for containers to come on and off ships on the coast and then move by water inland to us. Beyond all the really service amenities that we offer, I would say the other couple of key points here is that we're not as congested as the coastal port. So it's very easy to get your container in and out of our facility. But we also bring a much more personalized touch than what you're going to see at either coastal ports or at big intermodal ramps. You're talking to the guys that operate the facility right here, and we'll pick up the phone, we'll answer it. We invite anybody to come up for a visit at any time. Come see the facility. Let us work with you on figuring out how to best build the supply chain services. I know that Jim is going to talk a little bit more about, I think, business development and what he sees as next steps to really go that direction. But it's we are in the process of aggregating with customers opportunities for those customers that would be interested in maritime connection in and out. And if you have an interest in that, we'd love to work with you further. If you'd like to use our CN Intermodal Terminal, we'd love to talk with you further about that. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Chris, I believe, to take it from here.
Excellent. Thanks, John. Again, a lot of enthusiasm for the future development of the port. I'd like Jim and Trey to kind of give a perspective now of how containerized traffic is the future of the port, or part of the future of the port.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And boy, Chris, you put me in a pretty tough act to follow between John and Kate. Nice job, guys. Yeah, so Jeff Foster Trucking has been a trucking company in this region for 40 years. We have divisions that cater to all facets of trucking, from van to flatbed to chemical tanker, petroleum tanker, on and on and on. And a more recent development for us has been into container drayage. Our chassis group is growing daily, and I have more chassis delivering to us tomorrow morning. So it's a quickly developing branch of our company. Where we see ourselves in the Port of Duluth is just helping John develop his group through our exposure to customers that need it, that maybe know that they need it. Trucking to Quebec area is it's brutal. Trucking rates are high. Our fuel is well over $5 a gallon now. We face the same challenges as all the rest of you in that we've given some pretty significant pay increases to our fleet. Trucks that cost $130,000 last year are now $170,000. And as Kate touched on it, a gallon of fuel gets you 60 miles, where it does a little bit better than that on the water. So, and then added to that, capacity issues are we've been beyond capacity. I can't remember the last time that we were running it in the mid 90s. We've been at 100% plus for 3 years now, and I don't really see that going away. Just like everyone in this group, our ultimate goal is that our customers get the service that they need through whatever means makes the most sense. This passageway between here in Montreal and here in Antwerp is it is maybe the most underutilized means of transportation in our system, maybe globally. It's the most underutilized. Um, we haul freight, and every carrier in the country hauls freight from this marketplace into Quebec daily. Um, Granted, you're going to have longer lead times. It's going to take a little bit more coordinating, but think of the stress that we could relieve off the highway and the rail system if we could feed ships in Duluth. John has a counterpart in the Montreal area, Valleyport, where Spleetoff has a station. He's just as enthusiastic on that end as John is on this end. There's so much that can be done, and feeding Europe, Africa, Asia, all of that can be fed from right here. So there's traditional routes right now. You would say you're in Milwaukee. You'd truck it down to Chicago. You put it on the rails up to Montreal. It goes on a ship and off to the races. It sounds like a perfect system, and it was a perfect system for many years until it wasn't. And that was about a year and a half ago, and it works now, but it has too much pressure on it. The ability to take the pressure off of that system and get that system working better lies in the Great Lakes, coming across from Duluth out feeding those same exact systems. Our solution that we are trying to offer to the marketplace, and I'll let Trey speak a little bit further into this, is identifying traditional routes that we can continue in a traditional route in a manner that we can use to entice the carriers to increase their water traffic, so we can switch those over when the day comes. And with that, I think I will pass it on over to Trey.
Thanks, Jim. My name is Trey Grismore. Our company is Conveyco Incorporated. We're a licensed bonded NVOCC, an OTI freight forwarder. So what we look like to the customer base that might be listening in here is more or less a traditional freight forwarder that you might be used to. We carry direct contracts with all major carriers. Our company was founded 3 years ago by 3 veterans, myself included, and we decided that we wanted to start a company that was a bit different than the traditional freight forwarder. We're providing fully customized programs for our shippers that really are tailored directly to their specific shipping needs. We started the company 3 years ago. It was founded 3 years ago. Our first shipment was on the water in January of 2020, right before COVID hit. So we've been very challenged in the last 2 years to really reinvent ourselves and the programs we have with our customers due to the just really unprecedented chaos that's occurred in the industry with regard to capacity, container availability, schedule integrity, all the challenges that we're all faced with now internationally. And so really a major customer of ours is the one that has got us involved in the utilization of Duluth as yet another option for everyone, at least in the upper Midwest, to be able to utilize as just another tool in their international freight program. And this last 18 months, the experience that we've had with just inconsistent schedule integrity, container shortages, on and on. The problems really are they felt insurmountable. And in the beginning, they really kind of were. There were things going on in the industry with repositioning of equipment worldwide that really put us in the place that we are right now, and utilizing a system that we've all come to rely on for years, and the predictability of that.
Hey Trey, can you turn on your camera so we can see it?
Yeah, my camera's not working here, I don't think. Is it?
We don't see it, but that's okay. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, that's all right. So really, depending upon a system that that can break down at really any given moment, which has occurred here in this case over time, really. It's forced all of our shippers to come up with alternative solutions. I have shippers that never would have dreamed to transload their cargo from Minnesota in Houston just to get it on the water, and that's happening. But the Port of Duluth should provide us over time with a consistent product that will allow shippers to get their cargo on the water immediately. And without the traditional land challenges that we have, we're always going to have an international shipping. There's always going to be the next issue. I've been in this for 15 years. My partners have been in it 20 plus. And the one thing that we all know is that there's either going to be labor issues, there's going to be weather issues certainly always affect international shipping, but it's just an ever-changing environment, and having the ability to access the ocean from an inland point, I think, is something that needs to happen, and we're excited to be a part of it now. Something that our company is trying to do with this is we're currently actively seeking opportunity in Europe to find inbound cargoes that would hopefully be able to create a stream of inbound traffic matched with the outbound traffic that we're currently moving to North Europe, Italy, Southern Italy, Africa. And with time, once the volume of that circular traffic grows, then the Port of Duluth really becomes an option in a sustainable way. And it's not something that can happen overnight, but what it's really going to take is a group of people like we have on the call here today that are interested and have a vested interest in making it happen, that are committed to making it happen, and are open to thinking outside the box and really driving ahead to make it a product that's sustainable. So that's it in a nutshell for me. And we're just hopeful that this group can continue meeting, working, discussing to really make this a viable and a long-term sustainable program out of Duluth by container.
Thanks a lot, Trey, for that introduction. Dave Wierzba, WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. I have to take a couple seconds. Dave and I knew each other previous to our positions here, and well, myself at SBDC and Dave at WEDC. Dave's a great guy. If you don't know this guy, you got to take some time to reach out and meet him. So, Dave, there you go. Tell us what do you do for us?
It's a tough act to follow with all that opening like that. So, well, thanks, Chris, and thanks everybody for allowing me to spend some time and learn more about what everyone does here. At WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, I'm what they call a Regional Economic Development Director, and that's quite a tongue full too. I cover 10 counties in Northwest Wisconsin. So from Douglas County on down to Rusk and Taylor, kind of that Northwest section. WEDC is what they call a quasi-governmental agency. We have a separate board of directors that some of the legislators sit on, as well as private business people sit on that board. That was prior to WEDC was called the Department of Commerce. And I believe it was about 13 or 14 years ago, they made the decision to form a separate entity, being more of a quasi-governmental agency that could react to situations hopefully quicker and be a little more in tune with what's going on in the private sector, and form WEDC. I have colleagues that cover other parts of the state, and fortunately for me, I get the good part as far as I'm concerned, the Northwest section. And we have various programs to assist business with growth and communities as well. A couple of the programs I'd mentioned, one is a business development tax credit. It's a kind of an incentive for job growth as well as capital investment. Community development investment grant program is aimed at community is looking for to do a catalyst project to help that community grow as well. That's just a couple of programs we offer. Also within WEDC, we have a global team that focuses on what we're here to talk about today, which is export, import, and Chris is familiar with that group, having worked with them as well. We have some training programs that can help with if you're a business looking to export or import. One of those is called the International Market Grant Program. And if I can share my screen without goofing it up here, I can show you a little flyer of that. And that's I don't know if you can see that or not. It's International Market Access Grant Program, and that comes through WEDC. It can help with trade show attendance, marketing, promotion, export education, consulting services. And so that's a program we have available through that. The other thing I would mention is on our website. Hope you're able to see that now. We've updated our website, and through that you can gain, if you go into the export tab, listing all of our various programs that we offer there. Export Tech is one of those. The other program that we offer is our trade missions, and we'll have virtual trade missions as well as where you can actually go visit that country. And when COVID hit, they started doing the visual trade sessions, and that has worked very well. Saves you time and money. We have representatives in the other countries that can help make connections for you as a business owner, and kind of get that communication going, get to know the people, find out what their needs are. So that information's out on our website and available to you. Feel free to reach out to me as well. I'll put my contact info in the chat there. Feel free to call me if I don't know, if it's not something that we offer through WEDC, I'll make a connection. I've done that for Jim there at Jeff Foster Trucking with other agencies for whether it's training or just connections with other entities. There's a bunch of money out there for training right now, training employees. I just had a meeting with Mari from the Northwest Workforce Board that covers our area, and she indicated they have dollars for training. What they need are people. And so if there's a training need out there, let me know. I can connect you with Mari and can help on that end as well. Basically, in addition to the programs we offer, I view myself and our agency as a connector. If we don't offer it, we probably know somebody within the state agency or another group or a private entity that can help you out. So with that, I'll close if there's any questions for me. Otherwise, I'll throw my contact info in the chat, and feel free to reach out to me if I can be of any help. I'm really excited about this. Like Chris mentioned, we knew one another before, and we've talked about the export and import thing for our region. And it's amazing. I was at Farm Technology Days yesterday and talking to some folks there, and didn't know of the services that were available. So I think it's a matter of getting the word out and making those connections. So thank you. And if no questions, I'll turn it over to, I think it's Andy or whoever's ever next.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Really appreciate that. Yeah, the WEDC does a lot of great work for the state of Wisconsin and our small and medium-sized businesses. Andy, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the local SBDC office there in Superior, and then and we'll continue.
Sounds good. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Chris, for the introduction. I'm just going to share a couple slides here, so just give me 1 second. As Chris mentioned, you know, I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center at UW Superior. We serve 8 counties in Northwest Wisconsin, really from, if you look at the southern shore of Lake Superior, those top 4 counties across the northern part of the state, but also the other 4 counties just south directly. So we're actually housed now off campus. We are actually at 1401 Tower Avenue. Many of you might be familiar with the old post office building that is on Tower. So that is our new location. Chris mentioned at the beginning a little bit about just a little bit of the work that we do from the help at any stage. So I just want to touch on a few of these topics real quick. You know, we really pride ourselves on a variety of different things, but what we've seen over the years as businesses have come out of COVID and looking at a variety of different things is really looking at the financial models. How do they set themselves up for success over the next years? You know, the last 2 years has been interesting challenges for a variety of different businesses. So really here as, you know, as a consultant, a no-cost consultant to work with any businesses, not only from local, you know, mom and pop shops, but a lot of the port businesses as well on the Wisconsin side. So we're here to help, you know, on a variety of different things for getting financing, looking at the financial modeling, you know, launching a business, but also growing their existing businesses. We're seeing a wide array of businesses that are on their second stage now, where they're looking at expanding, getting, you know, things set up where they not only have to look at, you know, shipping domestically across the country, but also looking at an international presence. Chris and I have had a chance to partner on a variety of different businesses already. And I know just even in the Superior Duluth Twin Ports region, there is a variety of different businesses that are starting to expand, you know, post-COVID and look at a variety of different options. So working with them, making sure that their idea is feasible and really get them to that second stage of, you know, business success. Just a little bit about the work that we did last year. You know, we helped about 23 new businesses get created, over 2,000 jobs created and retained. The one thing I know Dave just mentioned it from WEDC is, you know, there are dollars available for that workforce aspect, but we just need to find the people. So I know a variety of our regional economic development partners are looking at the same thing: is how do we get more people here in the Twin Ports region, and then how do we get them trained up for success? So that's something that I know a variety of you are also working on. So hopefully we'll, in the next year or two, we can, you know, look at some of those challenges and really, you know, get people to stay here in the Twin Ports area to be part of these successful organizations. Just a few other little things, you know, nearly $7 million of capital investment that our clients worked on last year, which is great for this northern Wisconsin region. We're going to see that number again and probably exceed that, you know, just in our local SBDC here in Superior. Normally, between the two of us in our office, we help over 300 clients on an annual basis. What we saw post, or actually during COVID, but also now coming out of the COVID pandemic, we're seeing a lot of entrepreneurs that really want to start something new, and they're starting to thrive, which you wouldn't think that a pandemic would have that kind of impact, but I think a lot of people were able to see, you know, and experience a new passion of what they might want to do, you know, when they're working from home, working remotely, whatever it might be, and looking at a new path of entrepreneurship. And I know a lot of those entrepreneurs support the port activity that's happening here at Duluth and Superior. Just a couple of future programming opportunities that you might be interested in. You know, if you have clients, customers, people that you might be in your network that are looking to jump in the world of entrepreneurship, we do have a first steps to starting a business class that we hold 4 times per year. The next one starts on September 12th. This is virtual via Zoom, just for 2 hours. Gives a high level of 30,000 foot overview of entrepreneurship, what it is, you know, how businesses want to set themselves up, you know, looking at just a little bit of those target areas of marketing, finance, legal, and really helping them, you know, kick the tires a little bit more to see if this is something they want to be looking at. That is followed up by an entrepreneur training program that we do offer. This is a newer revised program that many of my colleagues across the state of Wisconsin have started to look at as well. We'll have 5 virtual sessions and also 1 in-person session on a Saturday in October. And then one of the main cruxes of, understanding your business is just understanding the numbers. So we do offer QuickBooks workshop as well. That will be held in person here at our offices. Last but not least, just real quick, as businesses start to get created, we do have a space available in the Superior Entrepreneurship Center where our offices are. It's at 1401 Tower Avenue. Office settings, cubicles, joint offices are all available. So I would recommend, I know many of you know Jim Caesar, who's the director of the Development Association. If you need space or if you have a client that needs space, certainly have them get in contact with Jim. He's got plenty of different opportunities that could be available for them. The goal of this new center is really, working hand in hand with those new entrepreneurs, get them started here in a 6 to 12 month basis, and then in a nice way, kick them out, where they're scaling up, where they can be successful in a commercial area. And that would include certainly, all around the Duluth Superior area as well. So as Dave mentioned, I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. But if you certainly have any questions, feel free to ask away. Then I'll turn it back to Chris.
Thanks a lot, Andy. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all of our speakers so far. Before we start into the general Q&A, I'm happy to have Tom Heinzen from Air Group on the call with us. Tom and Air Group, they're also a freight forwarder. Tom's office is based in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. But Tom, I wanted you to kind of give a general overview. How does someone use the port? Do they, can they call the port directly? I think, the answer is they need to work through a freight forwarder, an NVOCC like yourselves and like Trey's company, Conveyco. And then also speak to some of the cargo. I mean, does it have to be just agriculture? Can it be general cargo? What's your experience?
Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Heinzen with Air Group, and we're an international domestic freight forwarder. I've been in this business since 1984. I'm kind of a senior guy in this thing, and as Chris mentioned, it's not just the bulk cargoes that move internationally. A lot of the things that whether it's imports of board games, it's export of motor oil, could be even some simple component parts for manufacturing, could be gloves that are coming in from Asia, fishing equipment that comes in from Asia, or whatever. Those are containerized, and they need to be coordinated, and they need to clear customs when they come in, and if they're going out, they need to be booked on a carrier. They need to clear export customs, and we as freight forwarders, like Trey and myself, arrange that for our clients. And the past 2 years, year and a half, the supply chain has been broken. West Coast is potentially could go on another strike, which would really stir the pot on regarding both export and import going to Asia. It will, looking at the Port of Duluth is a great opportunity for both Wisconsin and Minnesota as an alternative. Today in Minneapolis, on any import, they're sitting at the rail waiting for chassis. Chassis are a premium, and our customers are now having to pay rail storage. They're waiting a week to 10 days to get a simple container delivered to them locally, just because chassis just aren't available. Jim talked about he's going to have chassis, and those, Port of Duluth is a great option, right? Yes, it's a longer run to maybe Minneapolis from Duluth than it is from, St. Paul to our customer. But, if there's a chassis and we get the equipment, it's, everybody's interested in that, right? It's a great alternative. The important part of the whole transaction, as Trey mentioned as well, is we've got to find a balance, right? It's not just, you can't export if the container didn't get here. So we need an import container to get here, so there's a piece of equipment in order to export out of the Port of Duluth. So as we bring in more imports through the Port of Duluth and return those containers to the Port of Duluth, they're available for an export. And so then, whatever that commodity is going to be going back into that container, at least the container is going to be available. The water, going to Montreal is going to be a great option. As Jim alluded earlier, the Chicago rail system's broken. I mean, it's not uncommon for containers to roll because trains didn't move it, or the train, whatever train company just shuts down for the week. It's not going to take any more bookings. I mean, it's all kinds of broken things that are going on, and to have a viable option to go out by water is going to be very exciting, and something that we're going to support greatly. But in the meantime, we are looking at all kinds of creative ways to get goods in and out of this country, and we're looking forward to the Port of Duluth being a great option. That's about what I have right now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tom. It's again, the future is really bright for the Port of Duluth Superior. I'm very excited. I bubble over. I gush every time I talk to anybody about this. I'm just out there trying to evangelize. So I'd like to open it up. If you have some questions, perhaps you can unmute yourself, start your video, and our esteemed panel will do their best to answer the question. Nobody ever wants to go first, do they? I'll go first. For Jim at Jeff Foster, you guys have very publicly been involved in moving some goods, grains and beans from our Midwest here, I believe Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin area, into Europe. What does how do those move? I mean, they're in containers, we know that, but the privately owned containers, are they going to be loaded and come back, or do they come back empty? How does that work?
Thank you, Chris. I actually meant to bring that part up, and I think you're probably feeding me a little bit. Thank you. So the project Chris was talking about that it's underway and ongoing is Cindy Brown at Chippewa Valley Bean. You've seen her in the press recently. She's a pioneer, and she's a pistol too. She's quite the forward thinker. She's working with a group called Realm 5. They have a private box that we all saw in the news for months and months, and it's still an ongoing thing that getting containers in this market are next to impossible. So even the customers that have shipped traditional means for decades weren't able to get the containers that they needed. So Realm 5 has stepped in. They're leasing. They have a leasing program, and Cindy and her group loaded them out with finished lima beans in totes or super sacks, sealed and ready to go to their customers in Europe. They send them over to Europe and through traditional routes and through Duluth. Once they arrive in Europe, they'll unload. There's 10 of them sitting on a dock in Antwerp right now waiting for reloads to ultimately the goal would be to reload all of them coming right back to Duluth. But Chicago, Minneapolis, anything that gets them back in theater, so she can reload them and send them back over again. They started off with 200 containers. I know they're looking hard at expanding that out. They're happy to be feeding their system with containers that they control. And the group Realm 5, their initial marketing is into the food industry, whether it's beans or grain, what have you. But their long-term goal is to branch into everything. A good application would be a company that exported to one area of Europe and imported other materials right back to themselves or to a neighbor or to a customer of theirs that could lock in both directions on it. But it's not necessary. It can be done through the system that's being built.
Perfect. And I believe there's well, without naming your client, I believe you have somebody in Weyerhaeuser that's reloading those in Germany and bringing those back and finding some significant savings. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that one actually, Dave helped me with that. I meant to plug you earlier, Dave. I'm sorry. Now give Dave a quick commercial here. Dave and Chris's teams have been amazing for Jeff Foster Trucking. Some of the programs that Dave talked about, he could talk hours. They've helped us in so many different facets of our development in just the past few months. I wish I would have taken advantage of these resources earlier. Chris has been, his services have been immeasurable. Chris has been a mentor to us as we venture into this, and he's anywhere from hours long in meetings, or I call Chris and say, "Hey, I'm about to have this phone call. Help me not look dumb in it." And he's been great.
You're far too kind. Do we have any other questions that are out there from our audience? It was a great opportunity to grill these guys. Ooh, quiet group. Well, we'll probably end up yielding some questions or some time back to people then. Just wanted to let everybody know that this was recorded. It'll be edited and made live for later this week. I want to thank all of our presenters for being here. For all of you that are on the call, help me evangelize, get the word out about this port. You do not have to have your own 40-foot container to make this happen. There are steamship companies that are more than happy to take these bookings for you. And then, of course, our great partners in Jeff Foster Trucking, in Air Group, and in Conveyco. These guys can definitely help you out. To that, I say thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your summer. And please, by all means, let us know how we may be able to be of service to you. Thank you for joining us today.